commentaries on Starmic. They're a fellow commentator within the SEC who uses text-to-speech. They also covered doodle tones twice. I swear, they aren't just a slightly worse pink robot. Anyways, you might be wondering what video of theirs I might be covering. Well, joke's on you! I'm actually covering a comment! That sounds so much better in my head. So anyways, a PokeTuber named Relic made a countdown that's not completely relevant. Other fellow commentators, Enigma Phantom and Gale Force, did a co-op on that. Other fellow commentators, Luxter and Kirby Star Warrior, did their own co-op on that. Starmic commentated on that. And then yet another fellow commentator, Umbrus, made a one-shot on that, which focused on a point about production. Yes, this is gonna be one of those days. Back on topic, Starmic left a comment in that video to hopefully explain their point better, I think. With all that said, let's begin.
Meet Relic.
Where to begin?
Well, we can start off with the positives about the intro. There's Umbreon, there's Espeon, the footage syncs to the music somewhat until they completely give up on that by the end of the intro, and there's Umbreon.
Okay, if I can point out my biggest problem with this intro, that would easily be the aspect ratio. I get you're using footage from older episodes of the anime, but in that case, either zoom in on the parts that you want to show so you can fill up the entire screen, or if that's not getting the desired outcome for you, just don't use those clips and replace it with footage that actually fills up the screen. I know that may sound a bit elitist, but if you're going to try to go for this big, flashy intro card, then it's kind of a given that it should look good, and having giant black bars made into a clip that actually covers the whole screen just looks sloppy.
Wow, this is a good point. Their inconsistent aspect ratio causing some clips to have black borders and others to be in full screen does look sloppy. Such a shame that you guys don't take your own advice with your skip card which doesn't fill up the entire screen. Why use a skip card that has black borders, especially if you guys go on to tell Enigma Phantom to not include stuff like that? What gives Luxter and Kirby? This isn't just hypocrisy but inconsistency within your own video, which is a problem.
If I were to move on to your actual point though, why should it matter that Luxter skip cards are in 4x3 instead of 16x9? Like sure, the rest of the commentaries in 16x9, but your main point of contention is based on the two quoque fallacy that in the long run doesn't affect the co-op at all.
255 My statement is not a two quoque, as that would imply that I said they were wrong, which I didn't. Besides, if it doesn't affect their video in the long run, I still think inconsistency like this is worth pointing out.
So, let me break this down. Your point is that your original argument against Lux's point about Enigma's intro was not a two quoque due to you not saying he was wrong to point it out? I beg your pardon. What? To give a brief definition, a two quoque is essentially a call to hypocrisy to claim a statement or argument is false because of the actions of the person making it. Sure, the point is about how you never said Luxter was wrong in your original video, but if anyone was paying attention to the context that was played out, that statement is inherently funny. To those that need a refresher...
Wow, this is a good point. Their inconsistent aspect ratio causing some clips to have black borders and others to be in full screen does look sloppy. Such a shame that you guys don't take your own advice with your skip card which doesn't fill up the entire screen. Why use a skip card that has black borders, especially if you guys go on to tell Enigma Phantom to not include stuff like that? What gives Luxter and Kirby? This isn't just hypocrisy but inconsistency within your own video, which is a problem.
You might not have directly said Luxter was in the wrong, but you certainly implied it given your overly wordy way of saying, "Nice argument, unfortunately." And given this is a commentary, one would think your interjection would be intending to argue his point, as if it were incorrect. At worst, this comes off as somewhat dishonest, and at best suggests you forgot about what you even said in your original video. Which I guess is pretty easy to do if you didn't actually say it. Ayo!
But Starmic said that they think inconsistencies are good to point out. Wouldn't that make their point less of a two quoque?
Elementary, my dear beastie, but that doesn't change how Starmic's original point was still a call to hypocrisy. No amount of claiming otherwise is gonna change that. Besides, if they were even right about it, they didn't say Lux's point was wrong because of the skip cards, then their interjection is about as much worth as people getting mad about images with backgrounds.
Is he gonna be okay? I mean, he has this really weird psychic fit going on, so what's that about?
To be perfectly blunt, I've got no idea.
Whole, especially since Luxter's main issue with Enigma's intro is that it feels awkward for Enigma to suddenly switch from a 16x9 clip to a 4x3 clip, especially since Enigma's editor more than likely has the tools to zoom the clips in.
308. Does none of that apply to Luxter?
You know, it took me a bit to realize what exactly was wrong with this point, and I think I've gotten it. This point should have been your original video. Think about it. If you could prove that Luxter could have fixed the issue with the skip card's aspect ratio, your original point would have at least been somewhat stronger. It wouldn't have changed how your point was still a call to hypocrisy at the end of the day, but it would have been something. Using this as a point against Umbris, which honestly comes off as you trying to deflect hypocrisy onto Luxter again, and not really something that addresses the main point at hand. Which, hey, segues well into my final thoughts. Given how the end of the comment comes off like a fact quote from the Book of Pointless Knowledge or whatever it was called, from the very little I've seen from you, Starmic, you don't really seem to try and debunk the points at hand. Instead, you just kind of over-rely on making your senses as long as possible and point out small aspects of an argument to make it seem like you had a point. I don't really know if that's a consistent thing with you, or if these instances were just slip-ups, but if they are, I'd recommend others to look over your scripts to make sure that your points are solid before you feed them to your text-to-speech machine or whatever. Also, I'd recommend making sure your interjection has more substance than merely trying to call hypocrisy or pointing out inconsistencies. It will really help in the long run. You could also figure out a better way to show context than merely lowering your own video's transparency while playing it, but I'm just being pedantic at that point. Anyways, this is Pokesonic Legend, and after all that, I need to go take a nap. Surely, it will be short and nothing bad will happen during it.